Honorable Chief Guest, respected teachers and dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I've been asked to speak on such an extensive and such a debatable topic, which cannot be encompassed in merely 5 minutes. However, I will try my best to answer the question I have been asked, and that is, can we produce good Muslims by imposing Islam? My dear listeners, we all know that Islam is a universal code of life. We believe that Allah guided humanity through His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and gave him a religion, a complete, unparalleled and unchallengeable religion which would guide humanity to success in both this world and the hereafter. Now, to answer the query of imposing Islam, we must first look at the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How did the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam implement Islam? Did he compel people to convert? Did he impose any law of Islam forcibly? Did he unwillingly impose any law of Islam? And the answer to this question is, as you all may know, that no, the Holy Prophet ﷺ did not impose any law of Islam or any order of Islam forcibly. Actually, the Holy Prophet ﷺ, he went to every non-believer's doorstep and begged him to convert to Islam. He met every tribal leader and every influential person in the city and begged them and pleaded them to embrace Islam. He called out in public places, in markets, in the Holy Kaaba and in the streets, and he called people to embrace the new true religion. He was insulted, yet he still pleaded with the same extreme humbleness, like Allah has described in the Holy Quran, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'izati al hasana." The Holy Prophet ﷺ was tortured. He was economically boycotted. He was made a social outcast. He was called a magician and he was labeled as insane. He was stoned to the point that his shoes were filled with blood. Yet he did not utter a word of resent. He pleaded with the same courtesy and the same politeness, and Allah has described that politeness in the Quran. إِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. If he wanted to impose Islam, the Holy Prophet would have accepted Hazrat Jibrail's offer to make the mountains of Makkah into gold and lay them at his feet, but he did not accept that offer. If he wanted to impose Islam, he just needed to utter the words, and Allah's almighty powers would have done the rest. But still, we don't have the answer to our question, Mr. Chief Guest and our dear listeners. I still have to show you the other side of the picture. When the Holy Prophet ﷺ established an Islamic state in Medina Munawwara, he started the next level of his mission, and that was to impose Islam. He prepared the Muslims for wars against the pagans of Makkah, for wars against the Jews of Medina, for wars against the hypocrites, and for wars against the Persian and the Roman empires. My dear listeners, the Holy Prophet picked up his shield and sword and marched across the Arabian Peninsula to impose the laws of Almighty Allah and enforce the Islamic political, economic and social system throughout the world. Furthermore, after his death, his direct followers proceeded further to conquer extensive territories. They imposed Islam by sword and by force and offered the non-Muslims no exemption whatsoever other than to convert to Islam, to pay the annual tax or to be slain in the battlefield. And this army of the companions of the Holy Prophet, they didn't stop until the hooves of their horses dipped down into the North Atlantic Ocean. Respected Chief Guest and listeners, after the second level of the Holy Prophet's mission was accomplished, wasn't there peace in more than 2 million square kilometers of this world? Wasn't there economic prosperity and social development? Wasn't there affluence and justice? Wasn't there stability and security? Of course, that is what the universal code of life had been sent for. My dear listeners, my answer to the question is, we are the continuation of the Holy Prophet's mission. We are in the Makki phase of that mission. We are spreading the message of Islam by word, by pleading, by begging, by politeness and courtesy, by bearing hardships and tolerating oppression. In the current world, we are like the companions of the Holy Prophet in Makkah Mukarramah. We are being killed by our own people. We are being mocked by friends and foes. We are being brutally slaughtered by Eastern communism and Western imperialism. Our sisters are being viciously stripped of their honor and dignity, and we are being slowly poisoned to death, and we are bleeding from multiple wounds. But soon, respected Chief Guest and dear listeners, the second phase will be initiated inshallah. The Muslims will have to rise, they will have to take up arms, take up force against the non-Muslims. They will have to use force and compulsion and fight for the sake of Islam and ultimately impose Islam throughout the world. With this, I conclude my speech and request you all for sincere prayers for Islam and the Muslims.
5 minutes 19 seconds. 5 minutes 19 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Malik, for such a great words. Now, as long as the scores are being compelled, so I would like to invite our chief guest, Professor Hidayatullah Khan, to come forward and share a few words with us.
Yes, sir.
Bismillah.